Okay, it looks like we are live now that I got this stuff figured out. Today I'm going to be editing some photos as per usual. Hopefully the stream health will stay up. I'm actually streaming on a new monitor and streaming in HD because last time I was not streaming in HD and I didn't realize that until I was done streaming, which is kind of silly. Okay, so right now I actually have my laptop and I have a Lightroom window up on a second window and my cat meowing next to me. So I'm gonna stream, everything that I'm streaming is coming off the secondary monitor, and then in my laptop monitor I've got like the YouTube channel open and like Twitter and my email and stuff in case I need it. So hopefully this will work well. Hopefully the stream health will stay up. It won't be a disaster, but I guess we will see as we go. So I went to a anime convention called MechaCon in New Orleans the whole weekend. I went Friday, I went Saturday, I went Sunday. And as you can tell from my photo library in Lightroom, I took a lot. Basically, all I did was go and take pictures of cosplayers. That's like pretty much what I did all weekend. I went to like 3 or 4 panels, but I took a lot of pictures of cosplayers. So today is going to be, depending on how much work I want to get done today, it's going to be a combo of taking of editing pictures of cosplayers. And I actually still have, I have some parkour photos that I took last Wednesday above my cosplay photos, and I still have to edit some of these. I'm a little behind on edits right now. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and working on cosplay stuff that I took sooner whenever I should be working on these parkour photos up here. But you know what? Nobody's paying me to do this, so I can edit them in whatever order I want. It's kind of the way I look at it. So for the cosplay stuff, I've got a few pictures. These are some voice actors up here at the top. I went to a Ghost in the Shell panel, and I just took a few shots whenever they were talking. We've got some some Adam Jensen and Francis Pritchard cosplay after, which I like super duper nerded out whenever I saw these guys because Deus Ex Human Revolution is one of my favorite games of all time, and they looked just like Pritchard and Jensen. They were really good. We've got Captain America, Catwoman, Soldier 76, Persona. I don't know what this person's name is in Persona. I just know it's Persona cosplay. And some of these cosplays I photographed, I don't even know who they are. I just like the costumes because some of these like lores or these comics or whatever or cartoons I'm not into. Like I know this dude is from The Flash, but I have like no fucking clue who he is. He's like Black Flash or Dark Flash or something. I don't know who he is. But we've got Diva here, we've got Harley Quinn, Zero Suit Samus. I don't know who this is. I think it's some kind of Batman thing. He has a Batman symbol on his jacket. Maybe it's like the Red Hood or something. I don't really know. Hotline Miami, Genji from Overwatch, Silk from Spider-Man universe, Deadpool, of course, Xenomorph from Alien franchise. We have Akira. I really like this guy's cosplay. His jacket was super duper cool. We have Scout from Team Fortress, the Spider-Man group, Master Chief, and this is either Kat from Halo Reach, or it's an ODST soldier from Halo ODST. I didn't ask her, but I really liked her cosplay, so I photographed her. We've got a Vault Dweller from Fallout 4. Got another Spider-Man. There are lots of Spider-Men running around. Is it Spider-Men? Spider-Mans? Spider's Man, if you will. I don't know who this is, but this was during the cosplay competition. Genji again. There was this Diva cosplay that was absolutely amazing. She had a full-on mech suit that walked around, and it was on this base that wheeled around, and I'll get to some of her pictures later, but it was really good. I've got Diva and Genji together. Got some more Genji shots on stage. These are probably my favorite pictures I took all weekend. And some more Soldier 76s. Major Kusanagi and Bato from Ghost in the Shell, which I was really excited about seeing them. I only saw 2 people cosplaying as Kusanagi all weekend. We've got Tubi from Nier Automata. I almost didn't photograph her because, like, on grounds of thinking that Nier Automata is a garbage video game, but her cosplay was so good that I decided to photograph her. And then I basically wound up the day by photographing a bunch of the Spider-Man group. This was, they actually have, like, a cosplay group called Spidey Dash Team. And I guess there are 13 of them, and they kind of do cosplays all over the area. I think some of them live in Texas, and some of them live in various areas of Louisiana. And they told me that there's one person that lives in, like, Australia that flew in for this con, which is kind of ridiculous. But I got some group shots of them, and I took some individuals. And not only were their cosplays really good and their suits are really good, they were also, like, the most attractive people I've ever seen in my life. So it was, like, they were just, like, really nice to look at and photograph. And it's a bummer because the fucking lighting in the hotel was so bad. Like, I have to do so much color correcting for these pictures. But I basically wound up the weekend. I got some World of Warcraft stuff here. And then I photographed the Spider-Man dudes, the Spidey team. So, that's sort of a big overview of everything I photographed while I was there. There was a lot more cosplay going on, but I only photographed the stuff that I wanted to photograph, really. I wasn't there working for anybody, so I was just kind of there for pleasure, if you will. But I think I'm actually going to start with... I have a really bad habit of whenever I go to edit pictures, I pick out, like, my favorite shots and edit them first, which maybe that's not a bad habit, it's just something I do. And then I'll go back and, like, slowly kind of edit through the pictures that are just, like, okay, or like the average, or like the, you know, all right pictures. And maybe I should just start from the top and work my way down, but I don't know, it's kind of irrelevant. But I think I'm going to start with, right now, I'm going to go back to the start and work on this Adam Jensen and Francis Pritchard cosplay. So we've got these two here. I've got a few shots of them. This is just like a standard, like, they're standing there shot. And I forgot to mention earlier, this is actually 2 women doing gender bent cosplay. I thought they were men whenever I saw them from, like, across the floor, and, like, I saw them in the convention area, and I got really, really excited. And I was like, oh my god, Deus Ex, I have to photograph them. And then I got really nervous and, like, didn't know, like, how to ask them to photograph them. And then I walked around the convention floor for, like, 10 minutes and, like, built up the courage to go talk to them. And then I went and asked them if I could photograph them. And, of course, they were like, sure, of course. Because, I mean, in general, if people are cosplaying, they, want to have their photos taken, or, like, they're ready to have their photos taken. So, you know, I didn't go up to anybody and say, hey, can I photograph you? And they said no. I mean, everybody said sure. So I've got a few shots of them. I like the middle picture because Pritchard is putting the lenses into Jensen's, but it's also slightly out of focus. Like, I feel like I did not do a very good job of, in general, I feel like I didn't do a very good job of photographing people over the whole weekend because, the lighting in the con is so bad. Like, it's really bad hotel lighting. All the lights are super warm, all the lights are super dim, and so I would have to shoot with a slower shutter speed, and shoot with my ISO way up, and basically what that boils down to is the pictures are grainier because my ISO is higher. My camera does not handle ISO very well because ISO is used for like to help out in like low light situations. And if I use a slower shutter speed to let more light in, then basically if I move the teensiest bit or if they move the teensiest bit while I'm taking their pictures, then, you know, there's a little bit of motion blur, or, you know, it's not as sharp. So I feel like just overall my photography was not super desirable over the weekend, but I just kind of did what I could with my camera and with the lighting and everything. But, you know, like I said, I wasn't paid to be there or anything, so I was just kind of photographing for just for me, just for fun. And almost everybody I photographed, I would ask if they were on Instagram so I could tag them in the pictures and stuff. So yeah, in case I want to give back to the community, if you will. So I think I'm going to start edits. I pulled the contrast to medium, which is like the first thing I always do to add some more depth to the photos. I always turn the dehaze up a little bit because it just kind of cleans things up a little bit and adds a little bit more contrast to the photos. One thing I've added into my mix lately that I hadn't been doing before was Lightroom has this really neat thing where you can do profile corrections for different lenses that you're using. And although like to the naked eye, it might not look like there's really anything technically wrong with this picture. I shoot on a super wide lens for most of the time I was there. I shoot on a 14mm, which is a very wide lens. So if you go to profile corrections and enable it and go down, I can go down to my lens make, which is a Rokinon. That's the kind of a wide lens I use, and click that. It'll automatically correct for any distortion that the lens gives. Sometimes it takes a minute. So like this is technically like a standard picture, and then if I click off, it'll show like that is the sort of distortion that the lens gives, because the lens is so wide and it captures such a wide field of view that it kind of like bulbs the middle a little bit and darkens the edges. So if I wanted to make it a more standard, like a 50mm looking, you know, just like standard shot, I can go to profile corrections and correct it. And really, I do this on a case-by-case basis because sometimes I think the picture looks better whenever it's got some distortion on it, and I don't mind that. And also, you know, I guess I don't really have any more explanations. It's just the way I like the pictures to look. But the nice thing about profile corrections is that when I correct from my Rokinon lens, the pictures end up a little bit brighter, which is nice because the lens hood, I think, darkens the picture a little bit. Like here, there's like a little bit of, on the natural lens, it's a little bit darker around the edges. Like there's a shadow up here. But whenever I do profile corrections, it just kind of brightens up the whole thing a little bit. And I do this on a total case-by-case basis. Like sometimes depending on where the person is positioned in the picture, it can maybe make their body look weird. Like maybe it'll make their waist look bigger, or like their arm look longer or something. So it's really just a case-by-case thing for me. And with this picture, I think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. I'm okay with them looking like this. I don't have any issues with that. So I think I'm just gonna leave it, and then I'll probably just do vignetting manually. So let's start here. Something that I do that, because the lights and the color temperature in the hotel is so warm, like this picture is incredibly yellow, incredibly warm, and it might not look like it at first, but once I cool it off, it'll be very apparent how warm it is. So I always go down on steps of 2 for picture warmth, and I cool it off a little bit. I bring that color temperature down to the blue side. And of course, this is, for some reason, color temperature is one of those things that always takes Lightroom like a really long time to adjust for. Also, the fact that I'm using this on like an old computer. Okay, so now that I've cooled it off a little bit, you can tell that you know, their natural skin tones are coming through a little bit. It's a little less yellow. So pretty much for every single picture I took at the con, I've had to bring the color temperature like way down, and just to kind of erase some of that orange and yellowness of the pictures. And then I also tend to go to the tint and move it up 1 to the pink side, or I guess it's a value of 5. So let's see what it looks like. But sometimes I take this away. It just depends on how it looks. Yeah, so like it's less warm. Like, let's go back to the start. So this is how they looked first, which is like really orange, really red, really yellow, very warm. And then after, they look like this, which they get a little bit washed out whenever you pull the when you pull the warmth down. But I will take that over the picture being like super orange. Alternatively, I could just pull the orange out of the picture with the color saturation down here, but that might have effects that I would not want. So I'm pretty okay with this. I might pull the exposure up a tiny bit, like maybe like 1 step. I'm okay with that. Now I'm just going to play around with pretty much all the other sliders. So highlights. The weird thing about highlights too is usually I pull the first set of highlights like down really far whenever I do photography, but because this was indoor photography, I don't really have to pull the highlights down as much because everything was pretty dark to begin with. With the shadows, I could stand to pull up a little bit. Let's get some more of the detail coming back in their jackets. Maybe like so. Actually pull that down just a little bit more. And the thing about streaming too is like whenever I'm running the streaming software on my computer, I think I've said this before, I'll probably say this every time I do this until I have a new like computer set up. When running the streaming software and running Lightroom, it just slows everything way down, which is like super unfortunate. So everything runs like way slower. My computer just kind of like chugs along whenever I'm running the streaming software and Lightroom. But maybe like one of these decades I'll have a new computer and it'll be a little less of an issue. Pull the blacks down a little bit. Maybe like there. It's pretty good. So okay, so that's where we started. This is where we are now. I'm pretty okay with this situation right now. The clarity I've actually been using quite a bit in pictures from the con, because the clarity kind of sharpens and desaturates a tiny bit, but I think clarity works well with cosplay or with photographs of this kind, because you know, we're talking about like comic book characters, video game characters, movie characters, so you can really kind of exaggerate things with them, exaggerate the colors, exaggerate just the way that they look, because it's not like you're trying to get like a fashion model shot here. It's about, you know, making the costumes look good, making sort of set the scene, if you will, for the pictures. At least for me, anyway. I'm actually I'm gonna crop this a little bit. Bring it in slightly. Kind of center them a little bit more. That's probably good. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, let's do the region settings. These highlights don't really have a super much effect. You have to be careful with highlights because if you pull them down, it'll just make things look gray, which is not really the look I'm going for. Like, I don't want their faces to be gray. Pull the lights up a little bit. Probably pull the darks up a little bit. Like so. And I always pull the shadows down. Just pull the darks up and the shadows down just to give it a little more depth, I think. Yeah, I'm probably not going to stream for a very long time because I have a lot of shit to do, and this streaming while doing photo work, it just takes Lightroom too long to process things. So it's just a lot more trouble than it's worth. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but everything processes so much slower in Lightroom whenever I'm editing. So I'll maybe do like 1 or 2 more photos and then I'll probably call it quits because it just takes, like, I'm pretty sure the computer is going to explode and it just takes things way too long. Let's do sharpening. I feel like sharpening and noise reduction is one of those places where I always like really kind of bring a photo back to life. Because sometimes even if a picture is a little bit out of focus, you can like fake it back into focus with sharpening if you're bad at photography like me. And then noise reduction will just smooth everything out a little bit. Take away a lot of the grain. Yeah, I think the buffering issues are coming from my side. Like, I Yeah, I think because I'm streaming on like an old laptop and because I'm streaming over Wi-Fi, I don't have my computer connected directly to like by Ethernet. Um, I think I'm really just overworking my computer, which is unfortunate. It makes for kind of garbage streaming, but I don't think this computer handles like the streaming software and running Lightroom and streaming at the same time, which is pretty unfortunate. And of course, because I'm a total amateur at streaming, I don't know like any of the technical shit about it. Like oh, if I plugged the computer in with an Ethernet cord, would it make it go better? Like I don't really know. This is all very much just me testing stuff out. Like I almost feel like it would be better for me to instead of streaming to just record a video, do like a screen capture record and just make like a YouTube video, quote unquote, that's not like a live stream. And then just publish the video. I mean, I wouldn't have, you know, like direct interaction with you or with other people that are watching, but I think that that would probably make things go a little bit smoother if I just like recorded the video and published it. But I feel like if I did that, I would be like kind of try hard, like, oh, look at me, I'm making videos that show how I do things, and I like don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm like pretty satisfied with this picture right now, so I'm just gonna move along. I watched this. One of the free runners that I photograph, one of the parkour dudes, sent me a video today that showed like how this one group of people um, does exporting to do like proper exporting for Instagram from Lightroom, and they said that they turn their quality down to 76% whenever they export. And I thought that was really interesting. I guess they had tested out different like I guess they exported a picture with like a bunch of different quality percentages, and they found that the way Instagram because Instagram will compress your picture file, which is why Instagram your pictures might look a little bit worse on Instagram than they do in real life. I guess they found that if you turn the quality down to like 76%, that was what they found to be their like optimal, like sort of like beat the compression percentage. And I thought that was really interesting. So they would turn the quality down, and they also do image sizing, resize to fit by 10. I think it's 1080 pixels, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm not going to do right now, but I just think that's kind of fascinating, like limiting the quality, so like whenever it gets compressed in Instagram, it won't look as bad. I don't know. I was a little bit fascinated by that. Maybe I'll have to test it later. Okay. I think I might do like one more picture for the stream and then call it quits. I don't know. what I should do. If you see anything you think I should edit, tell me. Even though some of these are already edited. I don't know what to do. I really like the Spider-Man sequence. The lighting was really good for it. Maybe I'll do this Master Chief. I kind of want to crop it so that, like, I think this was like his wife or girlfriend or something, because obviously she looks really stupid in this picture, but he looks really good in the picture. This guy's Master Chief costume was out of control. It had like blue LEDs that lit up all over it, and it just like looked really good. It was kind of ridiculous how good it was. Maybe like so. I also think it's kind of hilarious photographing these like fantastical cosplayers in very like average places. Like here's Master Chief in full regalia, like at a hotel restaurant bar in New Orleans. It's really absurd, but I like it. Oh my gosh, it's gonna take Lightroom like a million years just to export that picture I was trying to export. And whenever I'm exporting a picture in Lightroom, it already slows Lightroom down more during the photo export. And now that I'm streaming and working on a picture and trying to export a picture that's gonna take 15 minutes, it's like not a good situation. I could just edit the pictures and not export them during the stream and then export them after. That might be smart. I don't know. Hi. I have one cat in my lap right now, and there's another cat who is trying desperately to get into my lap, but there's only really enough room for one cat in my lap at the moment. I'm sitting in my desk chair and at my computer in the office. I think my cats are sad because I was out so much all weekend, and they were home alone a lot. And so now they just want me to feed them, and they want to sleep in my lap 24 hours a day. Oh my gosh, Lightroom is taking forever to color correct this. That's a little bit better. Probably push it cooler just a little bit more. Yeah, because if I go too cold, the colors on his back, the blue LEDs on his back are going to get really, really, really blue. Which is fine because I can address that later. I sort of like this brand of cosplay that's just like this dude. I mean, he obviously spent a lot of time making his armor pieces and making his armor outfit, but I saw it a lot this week in this sort of brand of cosplay where it's just like somebody would wear one of these like skin tight bodysuits, because you can tell. I can't remember what his legs look like, if he had just a one piece bodysuit on or if he had like pants or something. But he's got this like skin tight like bodysuit thing going on. It's either like some kind of like Under Armour shirt, or it's like a full on bodysuit. And then he just like has the armor pieces over it. And I feel like that's a really smart way to do cosplay. Like the Genji that I photographed, that had the really good cosplay. That's basically all his cosplay was. It was like a one-piece skin-tight bodysuit that looked sort of like Genji's body from Overwatch, and then he had like a handful of armor pieces that he had made over the top of it, and then his Genji mask, and then his sword, which was super cool. But like, you know, I'm not gonna pretend like he didn't put a lot of work into it, because it looked like he did, but it just seemed like, I don't know, like an easy solution to cosplay, but a very effective solution. Just having like the bodysuit with the armor pieces over it. I thought it was pretty clever, pretty good way to do cosplay. And whenever I was photographing the Spider-Man group, I showed them, because I photographed Spider-Man whenever I lived in Omaha, a guy who did like events and stuff in a Spider-Man suit, and I showed them the pictures, the Spider-Man pictures that I had taken in Omaha, and it was so funny because they were so like they were like trying to figure out like who manufactured his outfit. They kept like passing my phone back and forth among the people in the group, and they were like naming out different like costume production companies and like looking at different details in his costume and trying to like figure out, you know, who made the costume and where it came from, and oh well, the eyes look like, you know, that this manufacturer made them, and oh, but like the soles on his boots, it looks like that manufacturer, and it was just really adorable, and they were trying to figure it out, and it was very cute to see how passionate they were about costume manufacturers. But it's smart though, because it's one of those things where like I feel like the manufacturer for the clothing does not get a lot of credit, because one of the dudes that I photographed in the Spidey group, I started following him individually on Instagram, and from what I could tell, he had he had done a photo shoot a while back with you know, one of his Spider-Man costumes on, and I think that in his Instagram picture, he actually tagged the manufacturer of the costume in his pictures, which is really smart, because I feel like it's one of those things that does not get celebrated. It's kind of like whenever, you know, like as a photographer, people will take your pictures and post them places, but they sometimes won't tag the photographer in them. And I feel like it's smart to give the suit manufacturer credit, because obviously he would not be able to cosplay that Spider-Man outfit if he didn't have the suit that they manufactured. So it was nice that he, you know, sort of tagged them and gave them credit for it. Too blue. Pull that over. Sharpen him, of course. I always take the sharpening right around like 80 to 90, somewhere in there. Noise reduction up. Smooth everything out a little bit. Yeah, that's probably true about them developing relationships with manufacturers, especially for that Spider-Man group, because there are 13 of them in the group, and from what I could tell, they all had like several different suits, because like some of them had like a Venom suit and a Spider-Man suit, or two different Spider-Man suits and like two Venom suits or something. Because like one night when I saw them, two of the guys were cosplaying as Venom, and I saw them in Spider-Man suits too. So I'm sure that, you know, once they go back and order so many times from these specialty places that make this kind of cosplay, that's a good point, that they do develop relationships with them. And I'm sure the kind of shit that they're ordering is not some like cheap ass catalog bullshit. They probably order like legit expensive suits that are well made, that are good for, you know, good for conventions, good for you know, movement, good for photographs, that are really well made, because their suits, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about cosplay outfits, but their shit looked really legit to me, so I'm sure that they probably pay a lot for those outfits. It actually kind of just makes me like cringe to think about how much they probably pay for them. They're probably so freaking expensive. I wonder how sizing goes for those two. I mean, I'm sure they have like sizing charts and stuff, but they like, I mean, we're talking about like a skin tight bodysuit. Like, I wonder if they have to order per like height and weight, or if they order for like, I don't know. It seems like a very precarious situation. I'm gonna pull this background down a little bit. Something I've been doing in some of these shots, whenever they're in like a very kind of silly background area, I will shade the background with the like the spot correct, or I can't remember what that tool is called, and then I'll just like darken the whole background around them and like desaturate it a little bit, just to kind of keep the focus on the cosplayer. It's kind of a cheap trick, but it is what it is. And I also pull the sharpness down. This stuff is very, very light adjustments, but either way, I still like to do it. Boom. Okay, so here we have the before, the after. So the before is much more, it's not as dynamic. It's a lot yellow and orangier. And then the after picture is a little bit sharper, a little more dynamic. His greens look a little greener in his suit. I could probably punch up the greens in his suit actually, but I am not going to deal with it right now. But that's the after. Cool. I'm probably going to export the shot and then call it quits for the stream, because it's, whenever I run the streaming software and stuff, it just takes way too long to get anything done. I will consider recording little videos like this, though, of just me doing like a voiceover, basically the same thing, but in a video form, so that way it doesn't take, it doesn't take forever, because if I run the streaming software and record a video, I don't know if that will slow Lightroom down the way that streaming itself does, but I will consider that for the future. Like one of the guys, the YouTuber that I like a lot, who I watch, Anthony Morganti, he does workflow videos where he basically just does that. He takes like 2 pictures that he wants to work on, and he makes a YouTube video where he basically does it exactly like this, where he just runs the streaming software and records instead of streams, and then just does it that way, where he just kind of talks through his process. He talks through what he's going to do with every picture, and you know, things that he could do. And I really like those videos a lot, because it just kind of shows like just the way in general how he edits things. So I don't know, maybe I'll think about making a video or 2 like that, and just do like 1 or 2 photos per video and just talk about the way that I edit. But we'll see. Also, it's interesting watching the stream, because I have like Lightroom open on the monitor next to my computer, and then I have the YouTube stream open on my laptop, and the stream is like a full like 20 or 30 seconds behind what I'm actually saying, which is kind of silly. But it just takes a lot to do this. But cool, I'm just gonna do those for now. So thank you, Justin, as always, for tuning in. And I'll think about making some videos and stuff. Maybe we'll see. But I'm